My name is Laurent Couetil. I'm a professor of large animal medicine at the College of Veterinary Medicine at Purdue University. So asthma in horses, we found out, has a potential negative impact on their performance, especially when we are talking about racehorses. And we did a study recently in thoroughbreds at the main racetrack in Indiana, and showed that the greater the airway inflammation or the asthma, if you will, the degree of asthma severity in these horses, the lower their performance. So that was really kind of the first time that there was a direct link between the severity and their performance, which makes sense, of course, but until then that had not been documented. Well, a treatment is twofold. It's mainly because you have irritation in their lungs, you need to essentially treat that. And it's a little bit like treating asthma in people. There are some inhaled drugs that can be used in particular to help control the inflammation. But the number one thing is to treat the cause of it. And the cause, as we found out, was mainly due to exposure to dust, and especially small dust particles. And so the key is to try to reduce dust, especially in the hay that horses are eating. So, the key is our studies point towards exposure to dust from the hay being related to the severity of asthma, and that's important, but there are other factors that can cause irritation of the lungs, and that might vary, whether or not you're in Indiana, in California, or in Florida, and that being really the influence of the climate, the weather, the allergen from pollen and grasses that changes with the season, of course, but also pollution. You have some racetrack in particular that are in big cities, like in New York City or Los Angeles, versus here in Indiana, where it's more in the middle of the cornfield. So pollution levels certainly we feel might have an impact on horses' airways, as it does in people. So equine asthma became an actual diagnosis with that terminology about 6 years ago. We proposed that term with experts around the world because we felt that there were two main reasons why we wanted to use that terminology. First of all, it made sense because this disease in horses is very similar to asthma in people. So using the same term makes sense. The second reason is when we use the old terms, it was very confusing to owners. It took a long time to explain what we meant. And when we started saying, well, this is like asthma in people, and so it's horse asthma essentially, then people understood what we meant. It meant there was some sort of an allergic response to what horses were breathing in, and inhaled dust or some sort of an allergen. And that made the discussion much more productive at that point. So that's why we decided to use that new term.